So with the DCU successfully underway, there's been talk about DC's other flagship character, Batman. And I have some thoughts. Sup internet, I'm Al Johnny, and we're going to be trying something a bit different today. In this video, I would like to share my thoughts and concerns about the DCU Batman. So let's jump into it.
You're watching Auto Johnny.
Alright, let's get this out of the way. I would honestly love Matt Reeves, the Batman, to be part of the DCU. He and David Cornsett are roughly the same age, their themes and journeys fit surprisingly well. Even their styles, while different, it doesn't mean they can't complement each other. After all, one of the DCU's strengths is that they are more creative driven than the more uniform vibe that Marvel has. Still, the only reason why this isn't happening is because, well, Matt Reeves doesn't want it to. As a fan, it sucks, especially because it will clean up a lot of things, but as an artist, I have to respect his decision. I also understand why they can't wait until Matt Reeves is done with his trilogy. After all, the first movie was released in 2022, and part 2 is scheduled to come out in 2027. And who knows how long part 3 is going to take to come out, and that is a big if there's going to be a part 3. Additionally, it seems like the DCU is starting to develop this trinity. I mean, think about it. We got Superman already, and with Wonder Woman being fast-tracked, and with Batman being DC's most famous and lucrative character, I totally get why they just can't wait. So, with that said, let's finally talk about the DCU Batman. So, the DCU Batman. Well, let's start with the question, what do we know about the DCU Batman? Quite a bit, actually. First, we know some of his villains like Dr. Phosphorus, Clayface, and White Rabbit. Also, unlike Reeves' more grounded version, this version of the character is going to be a bit more fantastical. Also, unlike Reeves' version, who is in his early days, this version is going to be a bit more experienced, as he's going to have the Bat family, which of course includes Robin. Whether it's still Damian Wayne is uncertain, but we're definitely going to be getting a Robin. And honestly, this sounds pretty exciting, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. As you can tell, I'm kind of a Batman fan. He's probably my second favorite superhero, compared to Spider-Man being my favorite. So what's the problem? Why does all of this sound good to me, and yet I'm so conflicted? Well, let's start with the perspective as a film goer. Well, for starters, I don't have any issues with Andy Muschietti still directing. I'm sure he's going to do fine. My problem is that I'm not thrilled with the idea of having two separate Batmans with two contrasting tones at the exact same time. I don't want to really see these two Batman, one being grounded and one being fantastical, in a way sort of competing with each other. There's also the inevitable fact that it is going to cause confusion. Now granted, James Gunn has stated that they're not going to be released in the same calendar year, and I do believe that most movie-going audience won't be confused, but I still feel that some of them are going to be confused, which is why I'm still concerned. Then there's the whole problem of they might overlap, as it is unclear of how they'll make their journeys different. For example, what if they include Robin in the Batman Part 2? How are they going to separate these two versions of the same character? How are they going to handle Bruce's arc with Robin and make it distinct? Are they going to enforce an embargo like they do with the TV shows? Like, you can't use Robin because we're using Robin? This could get messy really fast if they're not careful. Then of course there's the internal lore of the DCU Batman, and this part right here just gives me a headache just thinking about it. Okay, the biggest problem I'm trying to wrap my head around is, what is the timeline for the DCU Batman? For the sake of discussion, let's say that the Robin is still going to be Damian Wayne. In the comics, he's the 5th Robin, which means that establishes Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, and Spoiler. Remember that. This is going to be important on the test. So, if Superman has been only around for 3 years, and let's say they want to keep him the same age as David Cornsett, and this Batman is established to have multiple Robins and multiple Batgirls, and etc., all keeping him at the same age at 32. So how long has this Batman been around? I would assume that he would have started a decade prior, but that wouldn't work because of Nightwing. Because in the comic, he chose that identity because of Superman, as Nightwing is a legendary Kryptonian superhero who is sort of basically their equivalent to Batman. So in honor of both Batman and Superman, he took the name Nightwing because, fun fact, Superman is actually Dick Grayson's favorite superhero. So placing Batman 10 years prior to Superman wouldn't really work, because how would Nightwing get his name from Superman if Superman has already been established for roughly 3 years?
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Just thinking about this just gives me a headache. So, there's only 2 ways I can see this going. 1, do what the DC animated movie universe did and cut out Jason and Tim, making Damian the second Robin. Or 2, based on what James Gunn said about Brave and the Bold, he said, and I quote, "I think you have to wait and see the movie. Some things have changed. Plenty of things are in flux on what his situation with his parentage and all that stuff. So I wouldn't take any of it." This, along with the lack of confirmation of Damian Wayne still being Robin, makes him being the DCU Robin uncertain. So, if it was up to me, I would honestly save Damian for the future. Maybe have Jonathan Kent as Superboy, and with him and Damian, they pretty much become the next Batman and Superman when David Corenswet and whoever plays the new Batman retires. So, if not Damian, then who would be my personal choice for the DCU Robin? I think a good choice would be Tim Drake. For one, Tim is not only one of the best Robins, but is technically one of the greatest detectives in his own right. In fact, he's considered the second world's greatest detective, as he discovered both Batman and Robin, Dick Grayson in particular. He discovered their secret identities at the age of 13, and he's the only one to actually volunteer to be Robin, as Batman was a bit more violent and reckless after the death of Jason Todd. In fact, make this DCU Batman a post-death of Jason Todd Robin and have Tim come along and help him out and become the new Robin. But this is all speculation and some fan fiction. After all, I'm just a robot, no, not that one, who just talks about the movie. I said not that one. So yeah, while I'm still looking forward to the debut of the DCU Batman, I still have some concerns though. Well, that's the end of the video. Are you excited for the DCU Batman? Or what would you like to see from this version? Like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications. And until next time, I'm Model Johnny, and end transmission.